Ashley Gattuso with ARPU here for Subscription Ecommerce Live. We have John Erck from Rebuy with us today. I'm really excited. Just wanted to give you some ground rules before we start off. This is recorded via Zoom. We pump it out to YouTube. We are in profile mode. What is that called?
Speaker view.
Speaker view. Yes, we are in speaker view. So you are hidden from the eyes of YouTube if you want to be, but we'd love to encourage people to drop questions in the chat and raise your hand and let us know if you have a question. We'd love to bring you on, or Seth or I can ask your question for you. This series is intended to feel like the meeting you want to go to, not a webinar, not a boring slide deck, webinar that feels like a demo, right? We've all been to those. This is intended to bring subscription e-commerce sellers together to talk about strategies, growth, retention, customer experience, all of the things that we hold true as a company as being the North Stars that we want to be improving, etc. So just a quick, this is brought to you by ARPU. We do not talk about ARPU during this session. We can answer questions at the end. We'll also stick around to answer or have John answer questions about Rebuy if you have questions about software. So ARPU is an upcoming shipment notification that ties into Recharge and allows you to have 2-click upsells and delays. So if you have questions about that, stick around at the end, we can address it. Without further ado, welcome to Subscription Ecommerce Live. John, tell us about yourself and about Rebuy.
Cool. Yeah, appreciate it, Ashley. Fun to be here. So yeah, my name's John. I'm one of the co-founders of Rebuy. We launched our company back in 2017, and we've created one of the fastest growing and most powerful personalization engines in the world of Shopify in particular. So a lot of people are familiar with personalization engines and what they do and the power of them. I like to typically start out and then let people know, merchants in particular, that as a personalization engine, we're largely into upsells, cross-sells, and recommended products. And these things are commonplace in other industries, like in the food industry, for example. You know, if you're at a restaurant, the idea of upselling and cross-selling and making recommendations for your guests at the table, that sort of stuff is commonplace. It has been for a long time. It's not commonplace on the web, but it's starting to pick up a lot of traction because merchants and shop owners are starting to understand and see in the data how big of a difference doing smart product recommendations at the right time and place and upsells and cross-sells have on both conversion rate and average order value, as well as just the overall experience that a customer has. So if you think about like going into a restaurant and then just looking at a menu and then just ordering, you know, what you see right there, that's basic. That's how most websites are. And a great server will listen to what you're interested in, give you recommendations, alternatives, upsell you, that sort of thing. And it creates a better experience for the customer, and they get ultimately a better dinner, essentially. It may be a little bit more expensive, but it's going to be better, and it's a win-win for everybody.
So I saw a post on LinkedIn earlier today that reminded me of this conversation because it was about this guy went to a restaurant with someone, and it was like a order it on the wall kind of like the menus on the wall. And it said like, you know, you should order this. This is really popular, the best, blah, blah, blah in the city or something. And the way the situation turned out is the guy was like, well, I don't know if I should trust what you're telling me, right? Like as the restaurant. So I'm going to go on Yelp and read a 4-year-old review and decide to order something different because it disagrees with that. So I think that prompts an interesting conversation that you would have a lot of insights into, is the psychology of recommendation and what builds that trust, and what are people most likely to trust when it comes to you delivering like a, hey, if you like this, you might also like this, or if you've bought this, like you're teed up to also be open to this. Like what kind of things do you think about when you're building that journey for the end user?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really up to the brand at the end of the day to create a feeling of trust between themselves and the customer. And if you think about that restaurant, no restaurant that expects to succeed and thrive is going to recommend something on their menu as like a primetime recommendation that they think their customers might not like. That doesn't make any sense. They're going to recommend something that they're really, really proud of, that they think the customer is going to love. So I think a recommendation from the restaurant or the online store, as long as you have a reputable brand and you care about your customers, I think that recommendation, whatever it may be, is going to be trustworthy and come off in the right way. So I think that's a baseline. If that level of trust isn't there and somebody lands on the homepage and there's a recommendation there and they're like, I don't feel like this, is the right product for me, or this is some scammy high margin product that they're trying to push on me. I think that's just an issue with the brand, not the idea of a recommendation. So brands that people care about, they love, they're going to trust the recommendations, whether it's, driven by the brand itself or other customers. So I wanted to bring up that element. So in our platform, one of the things that makes Rebuy really super powerful is that we have something that we call data sources. And another way that we refer to it is we refer to them as rule sets. So the merchant can build these rule sets. And so they can say things like, if the customer has X in their cart and they don't have Y, recommend Y. So that would be an example where the intelligence is coming from the merchant. They know that, hey, if you have my, let's stick with the food analogy. If you're getting this dinner plate and you don't have this side that I know pairs really well with it, I want to make sure I recommend that to you. So that would be like the intelligence and the recommendation coming from the merchant. So our system enables that through our rules engine. The flip side of it, the analogy to close out, at least conceptually, like the story that you told about the Yelp review, is like, what do other customers like on this menu? That would be what gets automatically surfaced by our AI-based recommendations. So in very much the same way that a Tesla works, our also bought algorithm, which is one of the ones that you can connect to your widget, works. So you can take the collective knowledge of all the shoppers that came before you. So again, so say you're getting like dinner dish A, and the people that go there all the time, the item that they buy with that is like, side of fries. Then like our system, recognizes these patterns. And if you do a rule that says, if anything, return AI-based recommendations, we're going to automatically surface the complementary products based on all the customers that came before you, not based on what the merchant programs.
So you could take it, interestingly, like this step further. Can you do what not to pair? Like, you should not drink this wine with this dish because it will ruin the taste of the dish for you.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. Typically, so if we think of like a scenario,
is there an e-com situation where
it's pretty amazing how well the food analogy transfers to like beauty brands and clothing brands and a lot of non-food things that we all buy online. But okay, so the way that I would do that one is you can whitelist certain things. Like in e-com, a lot of people sell like shipping insurance and stuff like that, and it's implemented as a product, so it shows up on orders. So it's like that's common in our system to like whitelist those, because like it's not typically what you want to recommend in the cart. They're going to sell that to you in the checkout anyways. So you can whitelist things so that our recommendation engine or blacklist, I should say, certain products so they don't automatically get surfaced. So we do have a solution for that. In the case of like, if you're getting, people use collections a lot. So another way to think about our system, a lot of people are really familiar with Klaviyo, and Klaviyo does this amazing job of segmenting different groups of people based on properties and then targeting them with different personalized emails. So what Rebuy does is we do a similar type of segmentation, but our segmentation happens in the online store based on what product the user is looking at, based on what products are in their shopping cart. that sort of thing. And so for your scenario, it's like, you don't want to recommend a white wine when somebody's about to, when somebody has the steak dinner in their cart, because those typically don't pair well together. So what you would do is you would do a rule in our system that says, if the cart contains an item from the steak dinners collection, recommend a wine from the red wine collection. So you can use collections in our rules engine, and then that's what controls your recommendations in cart or in checkout or on the product page. And that way you get an awesome, collection-based rule, which is super powerful. And then you don't accidentally recommend something that's not going to pair well.
Okay, so talk to me about the power of personalization in retention. Why does personalization lead to and impact retention?
Yeah, I mean, the way that I think about it is, and I'll answer the retention question very specifically, but I just want to start at the top end of the funnel, if you will. So a lot of times we think about a website at a high level, we think about a website as a funnel. You start on the home page, then you go to a product page, then you add something to your cart, then that cart goes to the checkout, and then you end up on the thank you page. And then you want to retain that customer. So I just like to elucidate that when somebody's on your homepage, you know a little bit about them. You know that they are interested in your brand. Once they click or search or click on a collection and drill down and they land on a product page, you know a lot more about what they care about because they're looking at a particular product. So our app keys off that. Once they put that product in their cart, now you really know what they care about. So that's where our intelligent cross sells in the cart, play a big role. So once they put something in the cart, you know a lot more. Once they buy that item, you know a ton about the user in terms of what they care about. So personalization in the world of retention, in retention, you're trying to get them to buy again. They have voted with their credit card, essentially, in terms of what they care about. So you want to do personalized product recommendations and personalized follow-ups based on what they bought. So one that we see is like, if they bought like a sample sized item, you should follow up, 7 days later. If they bought like a big jug of an item, you should follow up 30 days or 60 days later. If somebody bought a product, let's say just a regular sized product, and they bought it as a one-time, you should follow up. And if they're going to buy it again, they should buy it on a subscription. So there's so many things that you can do in terms of like the size of the product, the flavor that they bought, the size of shirt that they bought. These are all major, major signals about that person. And so when you follow up with them and do smart things, say in the ARPU email, you want to be, doing items that, recommending items that are complementary to what they already bought. That's actually what one of our, yeah, go ahead.
No. I was glad you mentioned that because I was going to start talking about, or get you to start talking about this idea of personalization in the subscription journey as being like it's even more relational, right? Than like that one-time purchase. So can you coach people on what they should think about in terms of they've subscribed, they've renewed twice? How do you start getting them to add on different items that align with that initial interest? How does giving them custom personalized choices that are like driven by data help that relationship last longer versus like breaking off? Like what impacts have you seen happen in that scenario when it plays out?
Yeah, so, okay, so let's take a company like Kettle Fire, for example. They sell different types of bone broth and different types of flavors. And then depending on the person, you're gonna have different preferences for different flavors because we're all unique in that respect. So when somebody subscribes the beef bone broth, which is one of their top selling products, that person likes that flavor. And so if you like, I know this isn't a plug for ARPU necessarily, we're just open conversation, but it's a great example and use case of, okay, hey, 3 days before that their next shipment is going to auto ship for them. personalization really kicks in big time right now, because you know the customer and you know what they like, because that's what they subscribe to. So that's when you want to use data to drive, like, the people that like that beef flavor, what other flavors do they like? And then let the data determine those recommendations. And then the reason that this is good is if they say, yeah, I'm going to add the chicken to my upcoming shipment, that flavor, now for that next order, you've increased the average order value. That's great. If they start getting sick of the beef flavor, they can cancel that subscription and let the chicken one, ship for the next, 3 months or like 3 weeks or whatever. So you can, the more products that you can recommend to a user, and have them appreciate and say, yeah, I agree with that, your average order value is going to go up, and the length of the relationship with them stands a great chance at going longer as well, for the reason just outlined. They can cancel one and keep the recommended product, and that, you know what I mean? That way they get, yeah. So you can increase AOV and like customer lifetime value by, making a great product recommendation.
I think the bad analogy is that it's like you're dating someone and you're like, I don't know if I really like this anymore. And they're like, well, I can change. I can be, I can be this now. Right? Like, you fundamentally still like me. Like, you just want a different flavor of me.
Yeah, well, like, I think that goes back to the brand, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you have products that your customers love, you're building a great company, you know what I mean? If, we can't, if it's a bad product or something that people like just don't care for, it's not going to work out long term.
How do you feel about subscriptions? This is a good conversation we had with Eli at Olipop, and like servicing subscriptions and when you should. I would think you have a lot to say about that, considering like you can make recommendations off of a one-time purchase, and like when in the flow is it right to say like, hey, you like this, you should subscribe?
Yeah, I think you have two major opportunities. I mean, there are people that see the value in a subscription immediately. And then there are people that are skeptical to the subscription and they just want to try it out one time, no commitment. And then if they like it, they would consider subscribing. So I think you have like these two groups. So it's like, we've focused really heavily at Rebuy on the subscription segment of e-commerce, and we're one of Recharge's top tech partners, and we've seen a lot of success driving a ton of value for these types of brands. So the typical flow that you should be aware of if you're running a subscription business is you've got a new user, they're looking at a product page, they have a choice. They can either buy the one time or they can buy the subscription upfront. The value to the subscription up front is they're going to get the convenience of auto ship if they like it and that sort of thing, but it's the subscribe and save. So save 10%, 15, 20% if you buy it as a subscription. Now, a lot of people will, they'll go for that. A lot of people will say, no, the subscription feels like too much of a commitment. I'm going to have to remember to cancel all these feelings that people get. And they're like, no, I just want to buy it one time. So a lot of people merchants use our product to upsell them to the value of the subscription when they click add to cart. So if our app, Rebuy, it's called an add to cart triggered pop-up, and we upsell them to the subscription. So if they say, hey, I want to add the one time, if you build a rule in our system, and that rule matches, it triggers a pop-up and it says, basically we're, subscribe and save. And it gives you more real estate to sell you the value of that subscription. They can say no thanks and just the one time goes in, or they can take it. So you have a chance to sell them a subscription. Our app does a good job at giving you prime time real estate to sell the value of that upfront. Okay, now let's say the user says, no, I don't want that subscription. I just want to buy it one time. Cool. It shows up in our system, and then we have automated order follow-up and a customized landing page. So one of the big things that we do is we turn one-time customers into repeat buyers. And so that's your opportunity. It's like, if they bought the one time and they're not going to buy it again, you're not going to sell them the subscription. It's over. If they buy the one time and they're going to buy it again, now's your chance to sell them the subscription. And so Rebuy has a flow through our personalized order landing page. We have a Rebuy email. So like 30 days after you order the one time, we'll send you an email saying, hey, we hope you enjoyed your order. Click here if you wanted to buy it again. That puts you on our personalized landing page. And then from that landing page, you can buy it as a one-time again if you want, or you can buy it as a subscription. And that's your second major opportunity to sell that subscription.
Okay, so I'm going to get like data nerd kind of honest here and ask, have you looked into whether the people who start subscription from their first purchase, like what is their churn in relation to people who go through that one-time buy, then subscribe?
Oh, I bet it would be, I don't have the exact data, but I know a lot of people try to game the subscription system, and they'll go, yeah, I'll do a subscribe and save. And as soon as my order goes through, now I'm going to cancel my subscription, and I just save myself, 15 or 20 bucks or whatever. So there are a lot of people. Recharge has settings that merchants can use to try to control that, prevent that. But it's commonplace for people to buy the subscription, get the deal, cancel it, and then they just save themselves some money. So people that bought the one time and are buying it a second time as a subscription, their churn, I would have to imagine, is much, much lower for said reason.
I hear a baby.
I have two beautiful baby girls. Yes, that's my 10-month-old. She just got home with me.
Wonderful. We're very real at Subscription Ecommerce Live.
Yeah, totally.
I have something interesting to ask you about. We're going to get into Q4. But first, I thought it was interesting that you do have a merchant and developer history. And I wanted you to tell us just a little bit about setting a Guinness World Record.
Okay. Yeah. It was one of my first forays into being an entrepreneur. So this is back around like 2004, 2005, which is a crazy long time ago now. Give me one sec, sorry.
No worries.
My boxer dog wanted to leave my office, find out what's going on out there. So so a long time ago at this point, and my dad's been a water chemist for basically his whole career and many, many years. And so he helped develop a better bubble solution for making super big bubbles, like large soap bubbles. And then I was like, hey, growing up, everybody always asked us, we'd be just using it, doing different formulas in the park, just having fun as a family. And people would always come up to us and they go, where'd you get that bubble solution? That's awesome. These bubbles are amazing. And then we'd be like, oh, well, we could tell you the formula, but then we'd have to kill you because it's secret, It's
like Bush's baked beans.
Right, exactly. So then, I don't know, we just had kind of fun with that. It's our secret formula. And that when I went to college around that time frame, I was just like, Dad, hey, people were always asking us where we could get this stuff. We should create a supply, i.e. a business, because everybody was always asking for it. So then we launched a company called Extreme Bubbles. And then I did a bunch of cold calling. So I started out as a merchant before I got into the tech space. And so I did a bunch of cold calling to toy stores. And I was like, hey, we have this awesome bubble solution for making super large soap bubbles. You're going to love it. Your customers are going to love it. And they'd be like, that's bullshit. You're trying to sell me really expensive soap. It's just regular soap and you're marking it up by a ton. No thanks. We can just make this stuff at home. So I was like, what the hell? No, this stuff's really good. It's different. It's really good. So then in business school, they were always talking about, you got to have a competitive advantage, some distinct, valuable, differentiator. And I was thinking, well, geez, if we set a Guinness World Record using our special formula, then I'll be able to call these toy stores back and say, hey, I've got an awesome product. I've got a Guinness World Record setting bubble formula. And we set the world record for the largest free floating soap bubble with our special formula. Your customers are going to love it. And as soon as we set the world record using our formula, as soon as I picked up the phone again, I called them back. It was literally a 100% success rate in terms of closing those sales. And so we did. And then our business totally took off, to a degree that we hadn't experienced to date. So that's the backstory on that. And
nice.
We were actually running on ZenCart at the time, and then did a migration to Shopify. That's how I got exposed to Shopify in the mid 2000s. and loved it, from day one. Basically, it was like, wow, we can have a beautiful looking website easily. The Zencart one just looked really bad, and our Shopify one looked awesome at the time. It'd be fun to have a time machine of what it looked like, back then. It's probably not that cool looking now, but it was really cool looking at the time. Anyway, so we were fans of Shopify from day one. And then I kind of went, I kind of stopped working on that business. I was like, okay, Dad, you can like work on this. I'm going to work on other stuff. And I just got really into the tech space and was super inspired by Facebook at the time, again, mid 2000s. And I got into software development.
Okay, so I wanted to like poorly use a pun, and my team will laugh at me because I was going to say like, oh, I'm going to say it, but I'm positioning it as if like I have decided not to, but it's so bad it's good kind of thing. I was going to go from like bubble tension to retention. Yeah, it's bad. It's really bad. But this is what it's like to work with me. But I kind of wanted to talk about tactics for Q4, especially for subscription sellers. If you had to recommend, like, hey, it is September 8th. Is it the 8th? And Black Friday's coming, Cyber Monday's coming. They're selling one-time purchase, and they're also selling subscription. Like, what do you think sellers should be doing to increase subscription purchases this holiday season?
My honest recommendation would be to sell a prepaid subscription, because during the holiday season, a lot of people are shopping for other people, of course, and buying gifts. And I think it's unrealistic to buy my brother-in-law subscription to socks that is, indefinite in nature. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna buy your socks for the rest of your life or whatever, or just like cancel it on them like in July or something, going, wait, why'd you cancel it? It's just kind of awkward to buy somebody. I'm sure it can work in certain circumstances maybe, but I did a prepaid subscription. I think it was a 6-month or 12-month subscription to socks to my brother-in-law. And then that was epic, because it's like, it's the gift that keeps on giving. And you buy the 6-month thing, so when it ends, the gift ends, it just makes a ton of sense. If you want to sell subscriptions during the holiday season, take the time to get your prepaid subscriptions configured, and then sell those. And then that way you can sell 6 pairs of socks, and it, drips out over 6 months, and it's this really cool gift that you can get for people. So that's what I'd say.
So sell prepaid subscriptions to people who already have subscriptions, who want to share.
I would just sell it to brand new customers,
to everyone.
Yeah, so it's like, oh, what am I going to get my brother-in-law this year? Okay, cool. Some cool socks would be good. And then I did some Googling, went on some websites, and then I could get them like a 6-month prepaid subscription. So it had a known price, but it was like cooler than a regular gift, because it kept giving for like, all the way into June or whatever.
Were these fancy socks?
No, they're just like, kind of like a super basic tube socks, but they got like all sorts of different patterns and colors. And
I love that you got your brother socks.
Yeah, totally. I was a little bit jealous. I'm like, I should have got some for myself too, because I'm like, hey, this present is pretty cool if you ask me. But and I think he agreed.
Nice.
So it was fun. It was a good gift. I would do it again.
Any other Q4 advice, especially with this kind of interesting COVID part 2 holiday season and supply chain?
The world I'm coming from, like where I focus is, in this personalization space, of course. And, people love recommendations, year round. We went over some examples at the beginning of our conversation. I think people love recommendations, especially in Q4 when they're shopping for other people. So you might find out that, hey, I've got an avid camper in my family. I'm going to go to Patagonia. I'm going to, because I know that they have nice outdoor gear. But then you land there and you might feel like, what should I actually get them? So I think that brands really should take a hard look at integrating recommended products into their website. Prime locations are homepage, product page, cart, checkout. Because people love recommendations year round, but it's especially important when you're shopping for other people. People really appreciate them. And then for the subscription brands out there, Pura Vida uses our product really well in the recharge checkout, where if you're going to buy a bracelet box, and it can be a prepaid one for a family member, let's say, then our product Rebuy integrates with the recharge checkout, and you can offer and recommend one-time add-ons. So for that first time it delivers, you can go to Pura Vida, find the subscription box, put it in your cart, go to the checkout, and that's where you'll see Rebuy. And we're the app that's making one-time add-on recommendations in checkout. So, for my brother-in-law, I could have got him the sock subscription. Had they used our product in checkout, they could have said, get him a pin that says, next year's going to be even better or something. I don't know what it would be, but I'm trying to make the COVID thing, but you could do something fun that makes sense as an add-on, a one-time add-on would be cool.
So I have a magazine background, but it was also at the same time you were making bubbles, or hawking bubbles. And we always, digital was becoming a thing. Gift guides were becoming a thing. And I think there's been so much talk lately about how marketers should start acting like media groups and putting out content and kind of becoming the news for your industry. I think I could take that and parallel it with e-commerce, is to put together personalized guides for the people who are coming through your site. Become known for making good recommendations. I don't think I had anything further to add to that beyond it was always funny to try to find gifts for the gardener in your life, or the whatever. Now we have a great idea with hair plants, but that wasn't always there. People who are here who have questions, I would love to ask you to drop them in the chat or ask them out loud. I can keep going, but this is for you. So if you have questions, please drop them in. We have about 10 minutes left. Something else I wanted to ask about is the messaging that you use with recommendations and what you would advise people do and don't do, because I personally like to have things recommended to me, but I don't like to feel like someone's creeping on me. Right? I don't like we saw you looking at this and we're always trying to chase you around kind of messaging. So what kind of best tips do you give to people when they're using Rebuy to recommend products in different places? Because I know it's going on in the checkout and it's going on in emails, etc.
Yeah. Well, I always tell my team that arguably the most important thing when it comes to a recommendation is the product that you're recommending. And I think that's fairly obvious, fairly straightforward. You've got to have a great product recommendation at the right time and place. But the second element, and a super, I would almost say probably underutilized element of our product, is that you can control the messaging with those rules too. So this rules engine that I've been talking about, you can plug it in, you connect these widgets to a rules engine, and then you plug that widget into your site. So let's talk about a shopping cart is a perfect example. So you can do something that says I'll do a hoodie example, and then falls around the corner. So you might want to wear a traditional sort of beanie with it. So if you're on a clothing website and you say add to cart on the hoodie that you like, and the cart flyout comes out, not only can you recommend, use our system would say you do a rule that says if the cart contains hoodie, recommend the beanie. But we covered that. But you can also say, if that rule matches, you can set the widget title too. So instead of just saying like, you may also like or recommended, you can say things that like specifically that says like matches hoodie, or pairs well with hoodie, or, keep your head warm too. So you can do like personalized messaging based on which rule matches in our system. And then that flows through the widget as the title or the subtitle, or even the CTA, the call to action on the add to cart button. You can control all that language. And brands have a ton of fun with this too. Because like, if you're just saying like, you may also like or recommend it, sure, it's a great default. But it's like brands that understand, how to use our product, they get so excited about this because they can put like fire emojis in there. Like, for example, like I was just on the call the other day, and they were selling like lots of different hot sauces. And so it's like, if you had a hot sauce in there, like then the rule title would like put more fire emojis, and they'd say like, add more fire to your cart. But if they wouldn't have that title if the user was just getting like olive oil, something that's not spicy. So like the language elements of our product are really super exciting when you understand how you can like, frame the language around the rec. It's pretty cool. It's fun to see in practice.
I tend to, when I get on a site that delivers custom messaging like that, spend more time on the site because I'm so impressed that I want to test and see what they have customized and what they haven't. But I think like as a consumer, the more understood you feel, but not like invaded, like the better. So like, yes, keep your toes warm too. That works. Not like, we saw you looking at this, come back, kind of like I think that's more relational, especially if you're pointing it towards like the other thing you might need to solve the problem or to tie up this kind of fixation with hot sauce or like whatever product you're selling.
Constantly Varied Gear does a really cool job of this. It's like, if you put like, a shirt in your shopping cart, they'll say, hey, you need shorts too. Well, that's a rule that matches. If the cart doesn't contain anything from the shorts category, that rule matches. And then they do the title and they say, hey, you need shorts too. You add the shorts and they're like, hey, you need socks too. So it's like the merchant can both program their own ideas or leverage data. And then basically they can be sleeping at night and their website can be truly intelligent, just like a person in a restaurant would be. You express interest in this appetizer and then they key off of that, right? Our app does the same thing. So depending on like what you have in your cart, we key off of that, and the merchant can program all this stuff. They can be sleeping at night and the website's intelligent and changing the messaging and the products and everything based on what you do or don't have in your cart and all over the website. It's really pretty cool when you see it in action.
Any recommendations for companies that sell products that maybe like making that connection to why you would want the other things they sell is tougher? Like if they're selling, I don't know, something like lotion for my face and they're telling me like I might also want lotion for my feet kind of thing. Like I can see the connection there, but like, do you have any products like that or experiences like that where like they've found some things more successful than others?
I was working with a merchant where they thought they knew better than the data. And so they were programming all their own rules. Okay, if they have this in their cart and not this, recommend this. And they had put together an extensive rule set. And then they reached out and they said, hey, our ROI on the product's not that great. And we have an ROI promise and all this like money back guarantee, all this cool stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, let's just do a consultation. So I spun up a Zoom with them and I'm like, let's just simplify this and we'll save your rule set over here, but let's create a new one. And the rule is going to be, if anything, have Rebuy make the recommendation based on historical sales data. So let the data dictate the recommendations. If anything, Rebuy recommendations, save. Connected that to their checkout widget, and then overnight their add-on sales exploded in a very material way, and their ROI on our product just like went like 20x, like basically overnight. Let it run for a month, and then so that's I think a great example that sometimes brands can overthink it, and they can think they know what the customers want or what pairs well together, but actually the customers oftentimes know best. And so if you can leverage like the shopping behavior of all the customers that came before the current one, that can be very, very smart thing to do. And it's super easy to set up. It's the easiest rule in the world. If anything, let Rebuy do the recs. And then we do it automatically, zero config, and it works really well.
Cool. Yeah. So in terms of intelligent recommendation, what would you recommend to somebody who's just starting to do this? Like, who is like, oh, we want to add that to what we do. What's like a step one, like getting started?
Yeah, you know, if you're running Shopify Plus, step one is to install Rebuy, click online store, click Shopify Plus checkout, and then click install. And within 2 minutes, you're going to get intelligent product recommendations directly in the checkout, in literally like 2 minutes, like even including the install flow. So I would just get smart recs in your checkout, and you're immediately going to increase your conversions. People wonder, we have actually data that shows that when somebody adds something in checkout, they're 4 times more likely to complete that checkout. We don't have data that shows that brings a drop in conversions. We have data that shows that massively increases your average order value, which has a huge impact when you look at annual sales figures. So anyways, that's like a 2-minute, couple of clicks, and then you're doing smart recs in checkout. So you can do that if you're on Plus today. If you're not on Plus and therefore cannot edit your checkout page, then I would say install Rebuy, flip on what we call Rebuy Smart Cart, and it's a cart replacement. No matter what theme you're running on, our cart knows how to overtake that other cart and replace it. And then when you click add a cart on a product page, you get a beautiful slide out. You can set a free shipping, threshold indicator. You can say like unlock free gift at $50. You can do all the cool messaging rules that we talked about. You can do smart product recommendations in that cart. And that's another couple of clicks, 0 dev, and you have arguably one of the best shopping cart looking and functioning shopping carts in the Shopify ecosystem, powered by Rebuy in a matter of clicks with no dev, including smart recs integrated by default.
Okay, so those are the getting started things for people who are just getting started with something like that. What about for people who have subscriptions going and want to take it next level and have it playing into the subscription model?
Yeah, perfect. Great question. So our original feature was a Rebuy email. 30 days after somebody buys a one-time product, we send them an automated email saying, hey, we hope you enjoyed your order. Click this button if you want to buy it again. Okay, well, something that always bugged me is that we couldn't use that feature for subscription orders because the next order is going to be automated anyways. Mm-hmm. So like that, we always had to segment on order tags. And if it contained a tag called subscription on that order, we would skip it because we would assume the next one is going to be automated anyways. So then, shortly after, seeing how this all works out in the wild world of Shopify out there and all these millions of merchants and stuff, we're like, wait, we can do the Rebuy email for subscriptions. We just have to listen for cancels. So we did an integration with Recharge. And so you can install Rebuy if you're a heavy subscription brand with a single product event. You can install Rebuy, connect Recharge, and then we will listen for canceled subscriptions. And then we will get people to rebuy their subscription. So basically, when somebody cancels, Recharge sends our app Rebuy a message, and we put them into a win-back queue. And then you can build campaigns in our system. Like 30 days later, after they cancel, automatically send them a beautiful looking email that asks them if they want to reactivate their subscription. So I would definitely, that's like a subscription best practice. We're one of the only apps that does it, and we're arguably the best provider of it in terms of just a turnkey, set up your campaign and automate your subscription win-backs. People cancel, hits our app, we wait 30 days, it's configurable, and you can do multiple, and they get an email missing your subscription, click here if you'd like to reactivate. Total best practice, put that on Rails, automate it, forget about it, and then win back on a long-term ongoing basis, subscribers that you've lost, get them to resubscribe in an automated fashion.
Very cool. Well, I'm not seeing any questions. We have run past time. My last question for you is, what has been your, aside from socks for your brother, what has been your favorite subscription that you've ever gotten? Whether you bought it for yourself or someone gave it to you.
Socks really is the big winner. So I'm disappointed that you're not letting me use that. Dog food. I don't have a subscription for dog food, but that would be a pretty solid one. I could switch that to a subscription. That'd be pretty epic for my boxer moves.
Okay. We will note that. Seth, can you put that in the file? You know, the ARPU recharge relationship nitty-gritty file that we have. Yeah. Thank you, everyone who came today. We didn't have a lot of people asking questions, but I know we have a lot of people learning, and we hit a lot of replays after the fact. So I'll be pulling some content together and sharing that with you. I really, really, really appreciate you joining us today, answering questions about personalization and recommendation. I think that subscription sellers rely on those tactics, or should be relying on those tactics, to really expand what it is that they do and stand out in kind of a sea of same that's out there and have those competitive advantages. So anything you would like to ask our crowd before you leave? I like to open the floor for you to ask a question for either us at ARPU or the audience, if you want some feedback on anything.
There was one more thing that I wanted to share, and that's the idea that we are an omni-channel personalization engine. And so everything is built on our own API. And this is a big deal for subscription brands. So we talked about how through Rebuy, you can bring Recs to the recharge checkout. You can bring, that's one channel. It's independent from the theme. It's its own channel, the recharge checkout. ARPU, which is your guys' company, does the upcoming 3 days before your shipment. Rebuy has an integration with ARPU, so you can use our AI to do rules to do smart product recommendations based on what the user is currently subscribed to. And then a third context that you can bring smart product recommendations to is the recharge panel, like the customer portal, people refer to it as. So that's where you've got a user, they're logged into the website, they're looking at it. I'm currently subscribed to this. You can use Rebuy. It takes some custom development work, but we have an API and you can bring our widgets in there, but some custom dev, but you can basically be our rules engine, including the AI, to the recharge portal. And that's another monster place to engage with your customers and do personalized recs.
That sounds exciting to me. I'm excited to see what this season brings in terms of e-commerce, because I feel like everyone jumped on a bandwagon last year, like all our new e-commerce people. So they have a chance this year to kind of start refining some of the strategies that they employed last year, and to get really personal, which is what we build this as, is that you are going to get personal. I appreciate it. I'm sure everyone else does. We have some thank yous in the chat right now, if you haven't read them, saying that these are great and they appreciate the insights. So we all appreciate how personal you made this for us. Is that better than the retention? Yeah, okay, thank you.